I can tell you, if you have a 10 a.m. meeting during the tense moment with the brand, or if you're the brand and with the agency, and what happens is overnight work happened. Hey, by the way, here's some work. Everyone is just like,
Yep.
Oh my God, I was so scared.
Lost in space, but that's okay. Climb aboard the Brand Spaceship today.
Your shit towards me about being just like precise and to the point has made me put fucking smiley emojis and exclamation points in business emails.
I think people appreciate it because you always talk about making things easy, and part of making things easy is in bringing people up and making people feel good, not just about themselves.
Yes. I believe you found what this episode can be. Whenever you're a third party being hired by a company, whether that's video, you're doing design, you're doing anything, literally anything, I believe your job is two things. Make the person who is hiring you have a better day when they talk to you. Okay? And two, get them a raise or a promotion. That's it. Ideally, you bring them joy and you're good at your job, but I swear to you, you can be a freaking C+, barely graduating. But if you just bring smiles, they'll be like, they're not that great, but at least they're nice. We're going to take this into a specific route about international working, because that's one of the things that we do offer that's a differentiator that we can talk about. But the reality is this, that if when somebody has a conversation with you, they come away with a smile, you kind of can offer them anything. The answer is like, are you decent at the job and really good to work with? From there, you're trying to differentiate yourself in some way from the competition. One way we do this, which is how we're going to go full circle into a topic we wanted to talk about, is through working all over the globe, being a completely distributed team. So I don't believe this would be that valuable if people didn't like talking to us. However, I do think that it's something that a lot of folks can learn, should integrate. And I rarely say the word should, but I do believe if services companies did this, they would offer a much better service. On top of that, I believe it's something that increasingly brands not only should ask for, but are asking for. So what does this look like? We have people in the United States, people in South America, and people in Romania. And actually, we just brought on someone who's working with us at least part-time right now in the Philippines and some other countries as well. We like to audition where we will have primary studios. The reason we have it spread out around the world is so that overnight people can be working. If our clients are in the United States and we have an Eastern European team working, they're working at night. So our US team at the end of the day updates our tracker, but we use Notion to track tasks and projects and clients. And we're like, here's what we got on project A. And then the team in Europe takes over. And then overnight they work on that project A. And then in the morning they say, hey, while you were sleeping, this is where we got. What this results in is we're able to get 24 hours of work done in a day, right? If we have 3 separate people working on the same project, that's 3 separate 8-hour task blocks. If you have groups of people remotely working around the world, a single 8-hour or 10-hour day becomes 2 or 3 days worth of work. We started doing this honestly by accident. Here's the reality. We started doing remote work and work internationally because I suffer from social anxiety. This is true. I'm much better now, but this is the real reason. So I was working up on Orcas Island where I used to live, and we hired at the peak. I had 5 people working for me in this super nice office. The office was literally on the ocean. It was amazing. It was this loft on the ocean. It was an amazing space. Had 5 people working there. Was truly like investing everything we made back into the company, trying to make it a real company instead just me for the first time. And what I found was, my goodness, it's hard to manage people.
Yeah.
That includes you, producer Jared. And that is why I sent myself to space. So I really didn't have to directly interact with anyone. But what happened was I was having trouble managing people. Many individuals who are starting a company, this is a difficulty. You're like, oh my God, it was much easier to yell at myself than other people.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this. People fired and were like quit.
I'm not going to do what you all think I'm going to do, which is just flip out.
I don't remember exactly what happened, but it went from 5 down to 0, except for we had this contractor whose name was Raz. And he was our Romanian animator friend. We shrink down mile 80. First year that it's officially mile 80. Also ends up being when COVID hits, which is a whole other thing that might be a whole other conversation about remote work. Maybe we get to it later. But Raz starts telling me, he's like, hey, I know you got rid of people, but like, I'd like to manage people. I'm like, really? You think we could just do it in Romania? You think we could get like a space in Romania? We could manage people remotely? He's like, I don't see why we couldn't. And I'm like, and you want to do this? So I basically went, this is a part of the job I don't like. Raz, would you like to do this?
Yeah.
So, but what ended up happening was we started doing this workflow ourselves, where like at the end of my day, I would have gotten so far in a project, I'd hand it to Raz and I was like, this is way more efficient. It allowed for my lady, which at the time was only me full time, to take on more and more and more work because I was twice as efficient, if not more, because he's more talented than me. But when we started to get more people in Romania, I realized like, well, it's just me here. And I, again, don't want to run a show, don't want to have an office with a bunch of people and the overhead and the stress. What had happened, right, is like at the end of my day, I hadn't been that productive because there were 5 people or however many there were in Romania and just me. And they're way more efficient than me and I can't update it. So we needed more staff on the similar time zone. That led to starting our studio in Brazil.
This is Brazil.
And then it became this 24/7 clock. This became what we advertised as our unique offer. Again, going back to, if you don't make people happy when you work for them, if you don't provide the service you claim you will, it doesn't matter if you have this 24/7 work day where you're more efficient. You actually have to provide a genial experience that allows for equanimity. And this is where we go completely full circle when we say, hey, one of the ways that you could lower your stress, whether you're the brand or you're the services company, is if you have an international team. I can tell you, if you have a 10 a.m. meeting during the tense moment with the brand, or if you're the brand and with the agency, and what happens is overnight work happened. Hey, by the way, here's some work.
Yeah.
Everyone is just like,
Yep.
Oh my God, I was so scared. I thought this wasn't going to happen. So this becomes an element where your ability to execute more quickly actually does help that experience be the smiley one. Make people happy. Bring it. I would suggest everybody have a remote workforce all over the place. Somehow, my social anxiety prepared me for COVID. Now that is funny because most people had these big staffs and they were in one location. And there is benefit, right, to being in location. We do have special moments when we get together. I actually feel bad. I've still never been down to visit everybody in Brazil. I want to do that this year. And there is a lot of value to being in the same place. But there's also a lot of value in spreading out across time zones so that you can work more efficiently on projects, especially if you're working on projects with really tight deadlines. And that just happens to be where we shine. Whether or not that created the need to work 24 hours or the existence of the 24-hour schedule led to those time-sensitive projects, the world may never know. It's a little bit chicken and egg, except for more interesting. We have other episodes that are about data storage to make sure it gets spread out. One of the things I know for agencies and production companies, they still don't quite know how to send things everywhere, even after COVID, even after people had to be remote. It's still a little bit of a stressful topic, but I do think this is a little bit for the brand. You probably at this point should expect that an agency has the ability to work around the clock. That's my opinion. And on top of that, if you are an agency or production company or any sort of third-party service provider, you should remotely distribute around the world to take advantage of efficiencies and time zones.
Agencies that don't have that ability have to charge more because they can't take as many projects on at the same time, right? You can't be, you have to be working on a single thing. You got 10 hours and that's it. You know what I'm saying?
This is great. Hey, get your international company, your team, get that spread out across the world. Today, we just talked about how you got to bring positive energy if you want anyone to want to work with you. That's actually more important than what else you bring to the table. And what we like to bring to the table and what everyone else can copy is distributing the tasks all over the world. Take advantage of those time zones. Thanks, everybody. This has been the Brand Spaceship. Watch the next episode where I force Jared to bend this pen with his mind.
Cool. I'm about to go watch Citizen Kane, my favorite film.
Jesus.